Should a potential employer have the right to know about your criminal past? That's the debate at the state capitol right now. The same building that will likely have to file an insurance claim soon after a vandal smashed a bunch of busts. The police would really like to talk to them. So, that snow, huh? Yeah, we really didn't hit the forecast out of the park, but our Kylie Burst says no one could. And not everyone gets a chance to thank someone for saving their life. I'm sure a group of firefighters in Vail would say it's all in a day's work. I'm Steve Steger in for Kyle Clark. This is Next. We heard about it before the session started, and lawmakers are now following through. They're getting ready to introduce a bill that would get rid of the box people check on a job application asking if they have a criminal history. Sound familiar? Sponsors hope the third time is a charm. Here's our Anusha Roy.
The story is in the name. The bill is called the Colorado Chance to Compete Act.
That's the #1 factor of decreasing recidivism, which is the likelihood that someone will go back to jail, is their employment.
Sponsors hope this time the bill has a chance to make it through.
That you can't ask if someone has a criminal history on the initial application, so that checkbox. But of course, employers can ask in other times or run background checks.
Its nickname is Ban the Box, and Democratic Representative Leslie Herod said it would give people a chance to explain their past within reason.
If you are a child care facility, a school, a bank, things like that, where there's rules and requirements that you don't hire someone with a criminal background, you can ask that question on the application, of course.
But walking distance from the Capitol,
who really owns the business?
Tony Gagliardi says it's just that.
When that box is checked,
a burden on small businesses.
There's been too many policymakers with the idea that we just arbitrarily throw the application in the trash can when that box is checked, and that's absolutely not true. It gives an opportunity for the business owner and the applicant to actually have a dialogue. Oftentimes, as is the case, it's a non-issue.
But he said asking business owners to change their job applications would be.
For those wishing to inquire on the initial application, it's their right.
All right, everyone's pretty well versed in their arguments because this is the third time this bill has come up since 2016. Now, Representative Herod, who you just heard from, said that there is bipartisan support, but she did, however, say that it could make a difference, Steve, that there is a Democratic trifecta at the Capitol.
So this is the third time this has happened. It's being sent to a different committee, though, than we've seen in the past.
Yeah, so usually what happened the last two times, it went through the Senate right to the Kill Committee. Marshall has talked about that before. Name pretty much indicates what happens to the bill. This time, for tomorrow afternoon, we're expecting it to go to the Judiciary Committee, so we will see exactly what happens from there.
Perhaps a non-kill committee. Anusha,
yeah.
Thanks so much. Well, the union representing Denver teachers today formalized its opposition to state intervention in stalled negotiations with Denver public schools. The union claims those salary negotiations resulted in 93% of union members voting to approve a strike last week. It could be two more weeks now before we know if teachers will go out on the picket line during school hours, as they've been doing already on their own time outside of district offices. Today's action by the Denver Classroom Teachers Association starts a 2-week clock for the Polis administration to decide whether or not to intervene, as DPS has requested. The state labor department is expected to move a bit faster than that. The John Hickenlooper "I'm not quite running for president" presidential campaign continued in Iowa this weekend. He took his brew pub owner turned accidental politician story to a brew pub in Iowa. So what's the difference between what Hickenlooper is doing with one toe in the water and the candidates who are officially campaigning? Now that he is no longer governor, John Hickenlooper is just Hick. That was on his name tag as he visited Iowa this weekend, and going back to his former life at a brew pub. Hickenlooper tweeted his Iowa adventures as he continues his Giddy Up political action committee to see if he should run for president. Since he announced Giddy Up in September, he raised $370,000 through the end of November. So what's the difference between what Hickenlooper is doing and someone like Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren, who has an exploratory committee, or California Senator Kamala Harris, who is officially running for president? Hick is supposed to be using his money to travel and campaign to help other candidates. He can't call himself a candidate, which he kind of did and had to walk back in October. His PAC can accept contributions from individuals up to $5,000 a year. He can't advertise or accept money from unions or most corporations. Warren, who has an exploratory committee, is testing the waters, essentially running for president without the reporting requirements. She can raise money to travel, conduct polls, and hire staff. She's limited to receiving $2,700 for a primary and $2,700 more for a general election. Harris, who is an official presidential candidate, has the same requirements as Warren, except Harris has to file a financial disclosure report so we can all see who has contributed to her campaign. Warren doesn't have to do that until she's officially a candidate. So you might have noticed Hickenlooper wasn't really campaigning for another candidate, which is the purpose of his political action committee. So we talked with a committee staffer who told us if Hickenlooper does declare as a presidential candidate, his new candidate committee would have to reimburse the Giddy Up PAC for a trip like that. So what started as a shots fired call yesterday ended in 2 officers shot and a home engulfed in flames. Today, police say the suspect died at the hospital, and neighbors told us the chaotic day began first thing in the morning.
It sounded like a gunshot, and I was just kind of waking up and pulling two and two together, but it was only a single shot, so I just wasn't 100% sure until the conversation started popping up on neighbors, and someone else said the same thing.
So recordings of the police scanner confirm a neighbor called them around 6:30 Sunday morning. Police were called again to the same area around 11:40 for more reports of shots fired. And about an hour later, 2 officers were shot as they surrounded the home in the 600 block of Incas Street. The standoff lasted for hours until the home went up in flames and officers took a suspect into custody. We don't know what caused the fire, who the suspect was, or why the shots were fired in the first place. Denver police say the injured officers are recovering in the hospital and are listed in fair condition. Well, it was the most detailed update on the case in nearly a year, and it was not easy to take in. Investigators are looking for 3 men involved in the murder of 17-year-old Maggie Long. Today, the newly elected sheriff of Park County said Maggie was purposefully set on fire and burned alive. Maggie had plans to go to a concert back on December 1st, 2017. She was killed inside her home off of County Road 43. The sheriff said today the house was likely targeted. Guns, a safe, and valuables were stolen, and Maggie was deliberately killed.
The information we release, we want to generate activity. We want people to try and help us out on this case. And by releasing that information, that she was burned alive, it's going to generate extreme interest in this case.
So the Maggie Long Task Force launched a new website where the public can share anonymous tips. They shared a new suspect sketch, photos of vehicles, and crime scene pictures that show the inside of Maggie's burned home. There's a $50,000 reward for information leading to an arrest in that case. Still no estimate yet of how much it'll cost to fix what's broken after someone busted into the Capitol overnight, the state Capitol. Today we learned a bit more about what's damaged there. Someone damaged the base of a bust of Richard Castro, one of the youngest lawmakers ever elected to the General Assembly in 1974. He was 25 at the time. They also damaged a bust of John Vanderhoof, a former state legislator and governor. Peter Dominic's bust was also hit. He was a state rep, congressman, and U.S. senator. And the vandal also chipped the marble floor on the first floor and damaged a glass globe light. So far, police haven't said if they have any suspects. If you know anything, as always, they'd appreciate a phone call. So we saw a whole lot more snow than expected today, and our meteorologists admit their forecast was off. Perhaps you deserve an explanation of that. Our Kylie Burse has one.
In such divided political times, Coloradans really came together today on a united force. It was actually kind of beautiful. That forecast, it was a bust. Meteorologists, they got it all wrong. A foot of snow is, of course, very different from the 1 to 3 inches that we had forecasted for most of the Front Range. So here's what happened. Upslope flow and heavy snow bands. Upslope flow, it's actually what it sounds like. Flow that rises up a slope. Wind that goes up the side of a mountain. The wind with this morning storm came in from the east and northeast, which means they had a perfect shot at the foothills. That rising air lasted all morning and it led to some incredible snow bands. Now most snow bands, they're thin. They last maybe 15, 30 minutes. Not the bands this morning. They were wide and they lasted for hours, at times dropping an inch or 2 an hour, which is just remarkable. These snow bands are tough to forecast on a good day, but most models, they had nothing leading up to this morning's storm. I know you're frustrated. I've taken all of your calls, your tweets, your emails, your Facebook messages. I get it. But know this, no one hates a busted forecast more than a meteorologist. We hate it way more than you do. Forecasting, it's still an imperfect science. We're still learning. We're going to learn from this storm this morning, and we're going to do better next time.
Let's give firefighters a shout out. They worked for hours to cut a guy out of a wrecked semi. He and his wife wanted to say thank you. Is ice getting too expensive at the store? And of course, more snow isn't all bad.
I didn't get to grow up doing it, so anytime I have a chance, it's a blast.
We live for days like this. Next. The most Colorado thing we saw today comes from Kyle and a free moment he had to snap a picture while stuck in traffic. So Kyle says the dude in the red pickup in front of him looked to be taking a huge chunk of ice from the mountains back home with him. This was in Silverthorne yesterday afternoon. We're not sure what's going on there. Kyle's guess is simply that it's a cheaper way to get some ice. Send your most Colorado pictures to next@9news.com or get our attention with the hashtag HeyNext.
Everybody was complaining about the snow this morning. Rez loved checking out the snow in his snow boots, and he looks pretty snazzy there in his green jacket. He'll need those for the next couple of days because it is going to be chilly. And what a beautiful picture of this pup in Westminster. We love seeing all the fun pics that you had took while enjoying some of the snow out there today, and that moisture, wonderful, of course, for the Front Range. We've had a few storms pass through Colorado. It's actually done some wonders for the drought conditions, where we continue to see improvement even through southwest Colorado. Still some areas under exceptional drought, but that area does keep getting smaller and smaller. Dry week is ahead. A cold night tonight. We will drop to a low of 10 in Denver, 9 for Brighton, 7 around Platteville, 8 around Fort Collins, with lows in the teens out to our west. But that will be one of the coldest nights that we see. And a nice warm-up's headed our way. 36 and still chilly, but sunny tomorrow, so that'll make a difference. And then 47 on Wednesday, 50 for Thursday, and we'll be in those 50s Friday through the weekend. Sunday we'll have a few more clouds, and it will be windy, but 51 degrees will be our high. Looking forward to that nice warm-up we have ahead.
It's a much different week than it seems like today at the end of the week.
For sure.
All right, Becky, thank you. So for years here, we have honored the public servants who do the right thing every day and rarely get noticed. They are the good ones, and as we love to say, they are almost all good ones, like the firefighters in Vail who saved a man that was pinned inside a semi-truck after it crashed on I-70 2 weeks ago. Tyler Davis was sleeping in the back of the cab when his coworker behind the wheel lost control in the snow. The truck went through a guardrail, slid down an embankment. The driver was able to get out, but Tyler was stuck inside. Firefighters and paramedics with Eagle River Fire Protection District responded, and 2 hours later, Tyler was free.
One would stay like kind of by my window so they can like kind of talk, and they just try to keep me calm. I just wanted to say thank you guys for saving me.
We really think that they're heroes and what they do. Their job is really inspiring, and what they do, they make like a big difference, and it's just, they do that every day, like save lives. That's just like, wow, we don't have anything to offer them. All we can say is, just thank you.
So Tyler had a concussion and several contusions, but amazingly no broken bones. He's recovering back home in Southern California with his wife and son. Walk it up and ride it down.
So much fun.
This certainly doesn't look like Monday. And an unconventional park and ride situation in Colorado's high country. Next. So here's another example to remind folks, that is not how you Colorado. Someone appears to have established their own park and ride in the high country. You think it would be a given. You're not supposed to drive your car on the ski runs at Loveland. So it turns out the driver of this car got stuck and had to wait for a tow truck to get the car down. Our thanks to Loveland's Dustin Schaefer for that picture. That is not how you Colorado. Well, let's have a little fun and play What Do You Say? Tonight we are talking about a town in Jefferson County, northwest of Arvada. It's named after 3 Irish brothers who started a coal mine back in 1869. A whole bunch of you asked us the correct way to pronounce this, so we reached out to the Jefferson County archivist to ask, what do you say?
Town that is spelled L-E-Y-D-E-N is actually pronounced and correctly pronounced Leiden. Well, the 3 brothers actually came here. They came to the United States and then came out west prospecting for gold. But what they found instead when they came out here was some very rich coal seams, and so they ended up opening a coal mine, and I actually pronounced it Leiden before I actually looked into it.
So the coal mine closed for good 60 years ago. We should also mention there's a Leiden Street in Denver, east of Colorado Boulevard. All right, what other names of Colorado are you curious about? Email suggestions to next@9news.com or get our attention with the hashtag HeyNext. Shoppers in Conifer being told a box of clementines is really a box of pears. It's like a Jedi mind trick. And I guess I'll answer a question a lot of people have. I thought everything looked normal tonight. The answer next. It's a sign that in the produce section of a grocery store in Conifer, the choices can be a bit confusing. Like comparing apples to oranges, except clementines are certainly different than pears. Yet the container here clearly says pears, ready to eat, ripe, sweet, and juicy, which I guess would kind of describe clementines, maybe. It piled high inside, all the citrus there. Our next viewer named Cheryl saw this at the King Soopers in Conifer. Send pictures of the signs that make you chuckle or smile to next@9news.com or get our attention with the hashtag HeyNext. The X Games in Aspen handed out the last of its winter medals last night, but with big flakes falling this morning, some people were still seeking thrills. Photojournalist Byron Reed takes us to Denver's Ruby Hill, where extreme fun was all the rage.
So much fun. We're sledding. This is our first time sledding in Denver.
Wow, there's so many snow, we could go sledding today.
They let us go out early because of the bad traffic.
And just the thought of sliding down that hill on the snowboard, I didn't get to grow up doing it, so anytime I have a chance, it's a blast.
Everybody's being in the house all bored, just watching TV.
Winter Wonderland!
I'm from Florida, so just out here visiting Colorado, seeing what it's all about.
No, we get no snow, so it's great out here playing.
I'm loving it, I'm not complaining one bit.
Bumpy, smooth, and then we kind of jump.
That hill ain't no joke.
It's a great hill. It's perfect size, perfect length.
There was no work today. About the kids.
I couldn't have asked for a better day. I've been out in Denver for about 4 years now, and this is one of the better days.
Always. Good time.
We won't get off tomorrow. We were lucky today.
Bet you all were thinking the last shot of that would be me wiping out on a sled. Lots of you want to know why I'm wearing this sling. I thought I got the blue so it would match and no one would even notice. Louise wants to know, was there an insane fight? Michael wanted to know if it was a scooter accident. A lot of you wanted to know if I slipped on ice. I did, playing hockey. After I scored a goal, Pterodactyls beat the Ice Dogs 5-4 at Family Sports Center last night, but I dislocated my elbow.